talking to them after we get some people on here.
Might as well take them with us on the ride up.
Oh, as well.
So we can potentially find ourselves on a tree.
Yeah, appreciate that, Eric. Letting me know. Yeah. So we'll go on and start talking here. People will come in as they come. I know it's early, but I reckon a lot of people.
Everybody awake.
Yeah, I reckon there's a lot of people awake. So this system has been wild. You know, been talking to Gerald on the way up 95. By the way, we're on 95. Is it 2026? Good Lord, I always forget.
2026.
Tomorrow, going to Columbia. Should know that.
Yeah, going to 26.
Yeah, 20. I've lived here all my life here in South Carolina. I still get 20 and 26 mixed up. Pretty sad. But we'll get on there and we'll head up to Columbia. That's getting hit pretty hard right now. I think K, the National Weather Service, the airport in Columbia just registered a 67 mile per hour wind gust. Augusta registered a Category 1 status kind of wind gust, 83 miles per hour.
And then the station went offline, so they could have gusted higher after that. We don't know.
Yeah. So this is a wild storm. We've been heading up 95 for hours now. After I did my last live, we were down on Interstate 10 in Florida, and we had to take it very slow to Tallahassee, and we had to go through basically a shredded pine trees on the interstate. It was pretty rough, but we made it, and then we started heading obviously north on 95, and just isolated, just scattered about, down trees everywhere. We mentioned the possibility, the likelihood of this causing a ton of damage in Georgia. Not to leave out Florida here, but Georgia overnight, and I'm very concerned. And anybody tuning in from Georgia, certainly say something if you're up. I'm very concerned what daylight's going to bring for the state of Georgia and areas of South Carolina. And the only reason I mentioned those two is just because, obviously, they're not near the coast. I mean, you got coastal sections of both states, but the way it came in is just ridiculous. I mean, you basically had an eyewall that hit Augusta, Georgia. So pretty wild stuff. So I am worried about what it's going to look like when the sun does come up. One thing that I will say, and call it a criticism, call it whatever you want to call it, but we are very baffled by the fact that the National Hurricane Center really just stuck with a westward cone. A lot of people were chattering about, hey, I think one of the number one comment was, is this thing wobbling east? Is it coming east? And we really couldn't answer you that for sure, but I think in the back of our heads, we kind of had a good idea that it was. But I'm not quite sure. I don't have an answer on why the National Hurricane Center stuck on such a westward path. But I can tell you one thing, over discussing this, and Gerald discussed it on his channel too, 90% of model guidance, I would say, showed more of an eastward path. So I'm not quite sure why they were so stuck on this going west and bulldozing through Atlanta. I would say the GFS model nailed this. I would say the global models did better than the hurricane models. Now, the hurricane model, like the HMOM model, nailed it at landfall, the structure of the storm. But as far as the inland packs, the inland track, I should say, I would say global models nailed it. I mean, I remember I was showing, and I think Gerald did too, the wind speeds on my videos from the GFS, and I remember showing it to you guys, and I'm thinking in my head, there's no way you get 80, 90, 100 mile per hour wind gusts in Georgia, this deep into Georgia, and we certainly have. We have.
Yeah, I remember telling all my viewers, like, once you get past Georgia, take like 10, miles an hour off what you see on the model I'm showing you, but I mean, we're verifying basically exactly what the models are showing, even over from some of the models.
Yeah, so
Augusta specifically.
it's not a knock on them. I do question them. You know, it's very odd how they just stuck with the westward path for so long. And honestly, never really adjusted, to be quite honest with you. I mean, the center of the storm is like, I think at the Georgia-South Carolina border right now. So, you know, northwestern portion of the entire state of South Carolina is, and out, you know, the Midlands is too, and everywhere in South Carolina is at least getting sporadic tropical storm force conditions. But I mean, you're sitting there getting high-end tropical storm conditions west of Columbia. So this is serious. You know, a lot of times these tropical systems, you know, when it's all said and done, the public complains a lot about them not materializing the way that it was forecast. But this one has, absolutely, and some. So, yeah. I'll leave this stream up for a bit. If you guys got any questions, we'll try to answer them. But just wanted to kind of add that in there. And yeah, you know, going back also to, and we've been driving all night, by the way, you know, but going back to, you know, the storm chasers that decided to chase in Perry, Florida, I had a bad feeling about Perry the entire time. I knew that it was going to be a pine tree issue. And, you know, a very known chaser called Jordan Hall, some of you might know him. You know, he says that he's been clearing trees on the way out to Perry for 6 hours and has gotten 3 miles. And that was my concern. You know, that was my concern about Perry. Is, you know, not being able to get out. And I wanted to get out. And that's why we hung out. That's why we hung out around the I-10 corridor. And that's exactly where we ended up sitting. You know, so I would say this, folks, you know, as far as wind speeds in the core of the hurricane, I would say underperformed. And people might argue that fact. The winds spread out away from the center of the storm performed exactly how models showed it. Devastating. So, don't make sure I don't miss 95. I don't think we could easy.
Yes, you got a couple more miles, man.
So, we're going up 95, about to get off on 26 here shortly, and I'll be heading back to Columbia. So we've been driving all night, got out safe, got sketched on Lexington getting slammed right now. Yeah, I mean, I would say the worst case scenario is playing out right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Got anything to add, Gerald?
Yeah, I'm particularly concerned about the upstate too. Obviously, Mitch harping on the Midlands a lot, as he should, because of the change in the track. But you folks up near the Greenville, Pickens County, Oconee County, Anderson County. Anderson County's already been gusting up past 60, and this, what we're going to call the eyewall, if you will, is still moving up that way. And you folks have gotten drenched with rain the past couple of days. So I know those soils are loose. There's already a lot of power outages up there, and the worst of the winds are still down near Columbia. And just a concern for everybody from Florida to Georgia through the Carolinas, how long is this going to take to clean up? You know, there's only so many power workers out there and things like that, and we've got just a ton of people without power. So I would be really concerned about long-lasting power outages, which I think me and Mitch both harped on in the forecasting videos. That could be a problem for sure.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Somebody made a really interesting comment, says it's hearing the same howling in Columbia that they heard during Hugo. So yeah, this is very comparable to Hugo, the way it's retained strength.
I would say this is Augusta's Hugo.
Yeah, Augusta, Georgia's Hugo. I'm going to be interested to see what Augusta looks like when the sun comes up. And if you're tuning in from Augusta, let me know. Raleigh should be fine. You're tornado threat. Yeah. Tornado risk is Raleigh. So, you know, using the word fine, you know, is definitely not the right word.
You know, the right
but certainly a tornado risk for Raleigh. The high-powered windshield wipers, yeah. I've seen a couple comments on that.
Yeah, we're gonna start driving back into the Shield, so
Yeah, so we're about to get on 26 now and actually drive up towards what's happening in Columbia. Of course, you still got a little bit of ride from the 95, 26 intersect there. So technically, I'm almost home. Gerald has to get in this car and go back to Charlotte, which kind of stinks for him, but
yeah, it is what it is. We'll be okay. Not 420. It's gonna be the next exit after this one.
get off the bumps.
Yeah, but it is the next exit. So. Something else I was gonna add, and I cannot. Oh yeah, talking about the sound that you guys talked about with Hugo in the Columbia area. So me and Mitch, we I would say kind of the most surreal experience from this. Like he said, the winds were. It's not that they were weak by any means. I mean, they were hurricane force winds. Don't get us wrong. But maybe underwhelming compared to what we were expecting off of what Recon was finding and stuff. But we stopped on I-10, again, this major American interstate, parked right in the middle of it because nobody was coming. There wasn't anything for miles in the middle of the I. And we got out and we just stopped talking for a second, and you could hear how mad the atmosphere was. And you could look up and you could see the rotation from being inside the eye. You could see the clouds moving in all the different directions. You could even see the mesovortices like moving through it. It was crazy to be to see that on the ground, and it being at night was just like extra creepy, honestly.
Yeah, it was downright creepy. I mean, it sounded evil outside. I don't know how else to put it. Hellish, if that's a word. I mean, it's not a sound that you would want to hear if you were in the woods at night. You know, I tried to post a video if you're interested on X of that. Gerald did too, and it's just the video doesn't do it justice. But
really something you got to experience, which some of you folks are experiencing it right now, to maybe a lesser extent, but still experiencing it. So.
Is anybody tuning in from around the Augusta area or anywhere in Georgia?
Yeah, anywhere.
I'd love to know. You know, man, I saw the comments about demons. I'll say this, dude. It sounded like demons yelling in a dark space. I'll leave it at that. It sounded like something. It sounded like something that nightmares were made of in that eye.
And then you start hearing it wasn't a lot because of where we were at, but then you start hearing the branches cracking in half and things like that, and that just added like an extra level to it. It was just creepy.
Yeah, it was wild. Okay, you're in Georgia, an hour from Savannah.
Yeah, we drove through Savannah. It was gusty. Honestly, along I-95, we could see like where there were multiple spin-up tornadoes that moved through, because you could see where it went from no problems to just mayhem on the interstate with trees and branches down for like a little width, which was different than the Panhandle where it was just miles and miles and miles of pine trees. Everything just scattered.
Somebody said Augusta got destroyed. I don't know what exactly destroyed means in terms of damage, but
let's look at some of the power outages.
Sounds pretty bad. Chapin, I'm hearing, getting hit hard. Pillion. So we're getting off 95 now, about to head straight to Columbia, 26. I'm sure a lot of the locals here in South Carolina know exactly where we're at.
So,
oh man, that was they gotta fix that. That's ridiculous.
So in Columbia County, Georgia, which I think is where Augusta is, or like within a county, 93% of the county is without power.
Yeah.
So if that tells you anything about the wind. And it's, if you look at the map too, like basically all of South Georgia is like that. There's a swath of like just at least 80% of every county being without power. It's now in South Carolina now too.
Got a guy with his bright lights right up on me, man. You're going to have to get on out of here.
He is hauling the mail.
Dude, be a little bit more considerate of that, man. Turn your bright lights off. Starting to get a little bit of light now. The sun's coming up. Sky's starting to brighten. So no power in Greenwood, Winchester. Yeah, I imagine you guys are getting hit hard.
Yeah, y'all are in the worst of it right now, the thick of it. It's gonna move north.
No power in Pillion. Yeah.
Yeah, really, the entire state got it today. I mean, even back out towards like the PD where the wind isn't as bad, we've had tornado warning after tornado warning. Same thing for the low country. So it's been a statewide problem today, and it's funny because I just posted on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, 2 weeks ago, I think. I was like, we haven't had a big time South Carolina storm statewide in what felt like forever, and now here we are, like 2 weeks later with the big one, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not heading into Columbia though. I see what you're saying. I mean, I actually live in the Lexington area, so I know Columbia is prone to flooding. No, Pillion just will continue to get what they're getting right now. I don't expect things to get any worse or anything like that.
Daniel Bonds just posted current radar versus how the graph showed it. I'm just waiting for it to decide to get enough service. It'd be very interesting to see this one.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about surge in Charleston, so I mean it was only 1 to 3 feet, so.
That's landfall. Stole it. That was the graph of landfall?
Yeah.
That was what it actually looked like. I mean, that's
yeah, ask for anything. Pretty much nailed it. I never went live again last night. After that one where I went live for like 45 minutes. Just had to focus on getting out of there. It got pretty rough after that live. Yeah, Bryce just said in-house model was 100% correct. Yeah, so I mentioned this in the beginning of the live, and some of this is probably going to go not be a huge deal to you guys, but of course there's a big dilemma on was this ever going to go east? It was a huge question throughout the last couple of days, and the answer is it did. And like I said, I already spoke on this about 15 minutes ago. It's not a knock at the National Hurricane Center. They, for whatever reason, they just were stone solid and stone set on this going further west, and most model guidance did not show it. So there was confusion out there, and there was some flack on some local meteorologists that was showing the in-house models that as something that stems more so from like local news stations, and but the in-house models were not matching up with what the National Hurricane Center was showing. But at the end of the day, the in-house models were actually correct and nailed the storm, along with almost all other model guys, that it was going to go further east. So, yeah, that's something to note for the future. Not saying don't follow the National Hurricane Center. That's not what I'm saying. But I think we all got learning to do, that's for sure.
You can actually kind of see. That's nice. Yeah, I think Charlotte area was gusted up past 50, so York County's probably even a little more than
that. It's pretty calm right now. There's not a whole lot going on. The radar look where we're at.
I mean, it's pretty quiet here, so. Down the mountain still from everything that fell in western North Carolina on top of what's falling on top of it right
now. Yeah, if you live in the upstate, guys, you know, Greenville, Spartanburg, up Nashville, and everybody in between, and just everybody, you know, you've already gotten a lot of rain, but the finishing blow is going to be the wind that comes with the remnants of Helene. So everything's saturated. You're already getting runoff from the rains from the days before. So what's happening right now is the remnants of the actual tropical system, which is still a full-fledged tropical storm, is heading towards that area right now. And it's most likely going to take down a lot of trees and do a lot of damage very fast, very, very fast, within a matter of a couple of hours. And that's a huge concern. That's going to happen over the morning hours. So, you know, if you live up there from the Greenville, Spartanburg area to Hickory, Hickory, I meant to say Asheville, Hendersonville, Maggie Valley area, Lake Junaluska, Waynesville, Brevard,
Tuxaway, Cullowhee. Actually, I'm going to check. I think Mount Sassafras, which is the highest point in South Carolina, has a STEM station on it. Let's see what is happening there right now.
I don't know how many people's without power exactly in Georgia, but there's a lot. If you are wondering about power outages, there's a really cool site you can use that breaks it down county by county. Do you know what you would put in that for that?
Just type in Power Outage USA, and it'll be like the first link. It'll show a map of the United States, and then you'll obviously see the states in the southeast that have they're basically all red right now because a big chunk of the states are without power. You click on the state, and then it'll pull up the county map, and then you can click on your county to get exact details. Now, it's not going to tell you when it's like expected to be restored. So that's what you're looking for. You'll have to go to your provider specifically. So if Duke is your provider, go to their website. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't even waste your time looking at that right now. I'd wait till this afternoon to even consider about looking to when you're going to get power back.
Yeah, so just shy of 1 million people, looks like, are without power in Georgia. Someone says, am I driving into the storm? I'm more so driving with it. This is, okay, someone, maybe, okay, so maybe not. So I'm getting mixed comments. Some saying over 2 million in Georgia. Some saying, I can check right now. Some saying 900 something thousand. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's basically just under 1 million in Georgia from what I can see. But that has been rising throughout the past couple of hours. So, you know, it'll probably cross 1 million. South Carolina is really close behind. South Carolina is basically running neck and neck with Georgia, and Georgia's a much bigger state than South Carolina. So, a very big percentage of the state of South Carolina is without power.
Guys, we're probably about to jump off here. Appreciate all y'all's comments. I saw someone say, how are y'all doing this morning? We're good. We're just tired. We been up for about 26, 27 hours straight. So luckily, we're both almost home. Gerald has a little bit further of a ride to go, but we're pretty much back in our home state. So, but I don't know. I might go live again at some point. Just kind of scoping out some areas around town, but you guys stay safe, and really appreciate y'all's support on my channel and Gerald's channel. And you know, this streaming wise has been a very, very big success. You know, one thing with my channel is I wasn't able to get a lot of clips together, so I'm probably not gonna make one giant video kind of documentation on this afterwards. It'll just be streams like this. I think Gerald might. See, I think he said he's gonna look through some footage on his GoPro and check some things out. So be checking out for that. But that's all I got. Appreciate y'all.